Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Live Team Alliance training session for Monday, October 22nd. Time right now is approximately 8:55 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let me go ahead and switch over to my chart platform. Okay, you guys should see my Nadex platform up, and we're ready to go and get started with tonight's training. Those of you who are new, before we get started, of course, I would like to welcome you to training with us. You guys definitely have made a very wise decision choosing to train here. You're going to learn a lot of information. The information that you're going to learn primarily is going to be market-based, but more importantly is going to be based around yourself, because there are certain things that you are going to have to develop in order to wait for the market to give you profitable opportunity. The primary thing is patience. Another thing is discipline. And you'll see how those things fit into what we do. We're going to look at the behavior of the market. If you're new, the videos in particular that I want you to begin with are videos number 92 and number 55 inside of the playlist that was sent to you when you first signed up. If you have not received the playlist yet, I'll make sure that I'll get it over to you. But I believe everyone has received it as of now. So you should have the playlist. Inside of the playlist, video 92 and 55 are the two that I want you to start with. Those two videos in particular are going to get you acquainted with the actual process that we use to validate or to disqualify our trades. So understanding the way that the market moves is the key to everything that it is that we do on the chart. What you're looking at right now, this is the Nadex platform. On the platform up here at the top, you can see the binary ladder, which is where you see these strike prices listed for these options. Right up here where it says 9 p.m. These options expire at 9 p.m. These are 5-minute binary options, and these recycle every 5 minutes. So at the beginning of every 5-minute period, you'll see a new set of binaries appear. You'll see the new strike prices appear, and you'll see a new timer appear, showing you how much time is remaining on the clock for this 5-minute binary. Okay, now, the market primarily that we look at, the GBP USD, there's a very specific reason that we only look at one market. That reason is you need to learn how to interpret and understand the behavior and the nuances of one market at a time. Trying to look at multiple markets at once is going to distract you, and it will cause you to lose trades because you're doing too much. You need to focus your attention on one thing and one thing only. That one thing being whatever market you decide to look at. So even if it's not the pound or the GBP USD, and it's a different market or a different currency pair, that's fine. Whatever it is, you need to stick with that one. And do not look at other pairs. Okay, so just pick one and be loyal to that pair. Now, when we're looking at behavior in the market, that's very important that you understand that it's the behavior of the market that is primarily the skill set that you're building. Understanding how to interpret what you're looking at. In other words, the way that the price is moving and also the environment that you're in. Now, what do I mean by environment? Someone tell me specifically what I mean by environment in the market. Bingo. We want a slow condition in the market. We want the price of the actual market, the price of the GBP USD, which is reflected in several places on this platform. One of them being here, where it says 1.2964, this gray box with the white numbers in it. That's one place where it's shown. You see how it's moving? It's also reflected up here where it says indicative price. Okay? Also, when you pull up a ticket and you're actually looking at the option pricing, the indicative price is also reflected on the ticket up here where it says Nadex Indicative Index. So this is the price. Anytime you hear me make mention of the price of the market, this is the number that I'm talking about. I need to mute this this phone. This thing is going off crazy. So the price of the market is how we're measuring not only the behavior but also the environment that we're in. Because in order for you to say we're in a slow condition, you have to know how fast the market's moving. You have to know whether or not the market has stability in it also. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in detail, because I think that we need to get a clearer understanding of stability of price movement, because it's going to help you to understand what you're waiting for and what you're waiting to see by the time you're actually preparing to take a trade. So, you know, the little things that you're looking for, smoothness in the price movement is one of them. But anyway, so now that you're understanding, you're looking at the price of the market, now you can actually recognize when you have the right environment. So in order for us to say, okay, yes, we have a slow environment, we need to measure the speed. We need to literally measure the speed of the market. Now, we're dealing with 5-minute binaries. So out of the 5-minute binary, you have 5 minutes. What point in the binary is the most important part for us, because it's deciding something? What part of it? At what point in the binary are we the most concerned with? We're concerned with the end of the binary, the last minute. So if we know that the last minute of the binary is the most important part of the entire binary that we're looking at, we need to see specifically how price behaves during that time. So this is what we're doing on the chart, is we're running the play-by-play. These rectangular boxes that I'm drawing around the candles, this is the play-by-play that I'm doing. This is actually us looking at the last minute of each of the 5-minute binaries as they pass. So as we're watching the market, we're actually drawing a box around the last minute of the binary so we can examine what the behavior is. Okay? Now, the fact that we know and are able to recognize once we're in a slow condition, now what we're doing is we're lining up the behavior of the market with the environment that we're in. This is what I was making reference to a moment ago as far as stability of movement. The reason that we're checking the behavior of the price is because we have to know how the price is moving when the market is slow. Okay, you need to know how it's moving. If you don't understand that it has its own set of behavior during every environment, that's where you're going to miss out and you're going to put yourself in position to lose. That's why I was saying you should not look at more than one market, because there's enough just dealing with one. Just to put it in perspective, today, throughout the day, primarily, we didn't have a trade opportunity. At least I didn't when I was on the chart. I'm not sure if anyone else actually took a trade or if anyone actually saw Mark's rule on the chart. And if you did see Mark's rule, what time was it? If you actually can tell me when that was, I would like to know, because Mark's rule is basically what is giving you the confidence to take an opportunity, because the market, through Mark's rule, is telling you that not only is the environment appropriate, but your timing is in sync because the market is going to validate the entry into the trade. And that's all it is that you really need. Mind you, the market is doing all of this. So if the market is telling you to either stay out of the market or it's giving you permission to take the trade, all of that is exactly what you need to know. So knowing when not to trade is just as important as knowing when to trade. So if you don't see an actual trade set up and validate during the slow environment in the market that we're looking for, then that would not represent marked rule. You need to actually see a valid trade, and you actually need to see the behavior at the end of the trade be exactly the behavior that you would want it to be if you were in that trade yourself. And that behavior is called what? Bingo, move hold. So notice also that when we make reference to the behaviors, move hold is a very specific terminology that we're using, and it literally describes the behavior. And I'm going to show you what I mean. If you look at the way that this price is moving right now, when this candle or when this minute began, the price began to move. Where did it move? It moved down, it moved lower. Okay, it began to move 1 micropip at a time to create the candle that you see here. Now you see how clean the candle looks? You don't see any wick on the top, you don't see any wick on the bottom. It literally moved down, and the point that it moved to at the bottom, it stayed there. So it held at the position that it moved to. Thus, the terminology move, hold. So anytime you see that that behavior is taking place during the last minute of the binary, this is the behavior that you know that you want to see on the chart before you actually are looking to get into a trade. So once you are seeing that behavior on the chart, now a valid trade must be presented, and that's what we call Mark's rule. So we term it Mark's rule, move, hold, or MRMH. And if you've been in the group chat at all, you've seen that. We're putting in terminologies and we're throwing them out there. So I'm just going through it so that you understand what we're talking about. When we say MRMH, that's Mark's rule, move, hold. And Mark's rule basically means that instead of you taking the trade when it sets up and it's validated, you don't take it, you watch it. You actually let that trade go by, you observe it, and if that trade validates and if the behavior of that trade is move hold as it is ending, that would constitute Mark's rule, period. So in other words, Mark's rule is MRMH. They're synonymous. You're not going to have Mark's rule without the behavior included. So just because a trade sets up and it validates, if the behavior of that trade while you're watching it does not reflect move hold and it's something else, that does not count as Mark's rule. Because you want to see a clean trade set up during the right environment. And when that happens, most of the times, the market will give you more than one opportunity during that environment. We call it clusters. So just think of it in terms of if the market is being generous to us, it's not being stingy. It's not like it's going to just give us one. It's not just going to give us a needle in a haystack, so to speak. So by observing the market constantly, you're literally just waiting for the market to position itself, give you a valid trade. Once that trade is valid and the behavior is what we're looking for, then that represents Mark's rule. And once you have Mark's rule, now you are ready to take the next trade that validates. and you're ready to take it with confidence. Like you're not scared, oh, I don't know if I should take it. If it sets up, you better take the trade. So that's how Mark's rule basically gives you permission to activate your trigger. It gives you permission to activate your trigger. Then the last binary was move hold. This one, this was move hold right here. I wasn't looking to see if it validated or not, but yeah, I don't even know if it did. It seemed like it had moved towards the end of it. Joel said it was a back tick. Oh, the one before that. The one before this one? Well, okay. Let me clarify what binary you want to observe. You want to observe the last one. So really anything before the last binary, I'm not going to say is totally irrelevant, because some people study candles and they like to look, you know, to see if there's structure in the market and things of that nature. So for some people, looking at all of the candles is a part of their process. If that's something that you're used to doing, you know, it is what it is. But what I'll say is that you want to observe the behavior at the end, during the last minute of the binary. And yes, you do want to identify move hold. This is move hold, the one with the rectangle around it. Actually, all of these candles are move hold. All four of these, for that matter, if that's what you're asking. But understand that I don't know that because I'm looking at the candles. I know that because we were looking at the market. Like while these candles were forming, we were looking at what the price was actually doing in real time to know that it was move hold. Because remember also that when you're observing, you want to also observe speed. You want to make sure that your speed is in check. You do not want the market to begin to speed up and to accelerate, because you can have move hold in a fast market. So the last of the previous 5 minutes looks like a stall. Well, you can't tell if it was a stall or not unless you were observing, unless it's just one straight line across and it didn't go up or down. That where you would know that entire minute was a stall. But none of these candles look like they, you know, were a stall. Even this one moved down first and it came back up. This was a jerk. This one right here, that was a jerk. This one right here was closer to a stall. This one right here was reverse hold. So also, you know, as you're observing behavior, it's good to recognize what the behaviors are, because that helps you with progression. Like, understand, the only reason that you need to know what the behaviors are is so that you'll know whether or not the market is getting closer to or further away from what you're waiting for. That's really what the objective is of it. You want to be able to see the market making progress. Yeah, well, the market kind of today, just throughout the day, has been pretty slow, like all afternoon and even into the evening. Just because it is slow, it does not mean that you'll get a trade, because our parameters will prohibit us from entering into trades that don't meet our rules. If our rules are not met, we don't do anything. Just like this right here. Like if this right here just were to set up, you see how right now you only have 2 micropips above the strike? You only got 3. Now it's starting to inch up. It's a disqualified trade. It doesn't matter that it moves in the direction afterwards. It has to move in position while we're watching and while we're within the time frame to actually take the trade in order to validate. If it doesn't validate, it's a DQ. It's a disqualified trade. So you're either disqualifying the trades, or ultimately you'll be able to validate a trade based on our parameters. And just like Crystal saying, like we were getting priced out most of the day, or the parameters were just not being met. So typically what that is an indication of is that there's just not enough stability in the market for us to trade with confidence and to just take our trades because they are valid trades. So we're never going to just, try to force our way in because the market is slow. And I'm glad that you're saying that, Carly, because by you saying that, I don't want you to feel like, oh, well, the market is slow, so a trade is going to come. Market is slow, so our trade is likely to present itself if the market allows it. If the market does not allow our trade to come, it won't. Just like all day, I don't think anyone, I'm not even sure, but my guess is that no one took a trade today. And if you did take a trade today, it wasn't on the pound. Somebody might have took a trade on another pair, but on the GBP today, I don't think anyone traded. Did anyone trade today? Osiris said nope. J. Carly, nope. Crystal, nope. See? So this is what we call synergy. The fact that none of us took a trade is a strong force because it means that our parameters are solid. We don't take trades if the parameters are not met, period. Right, exactly. Because there really wasn't much to talk about. Everybody was just looking at the market and just like, oh, well, guess ain't going to be no trade today. And that's not a bad thing. It's good. Just because the market is up and open, it doesn't mean that you have to trade. See, this is one of the pitfalls of most people who trade. They feel like just because they're on the chart, that the market owes them a trade. And you know what they'll do? They'll force their way into a trade. And you know the worst thing that can happen to you when you do that is that you win the trade. Worst thing. Because you'll win one trade, and then you'll break your rules again. You might win another trade. Then you'll break your rules again. You just keep doing it. Exactly. You see? You hit it right on the head. Bad habits. Terrible habits, in fact. So you're way better off sticking to your rules and focusing on your plan and not doing anything else. And that's why I released a spreadsheet yesterday with a money management video. If you have not watched that video, you got to watch that video because it's talking about the money management aspect of the spreadsheet. And the spreadsheet is basically just like having a plan. It's a roadmap. Shows you at what point to scale up your contract size. The one that I released yesterday is based on even fewer trades on average per week. So it's busting it down like to the bare minimum. It's just showing you what it would look like if you were limited to say 3 trades a week, meaning that you would only get 1 trade every other day. What it would look like. And if you know that you're following the protocol, and that's what it is, if you only end up with 3 trades for the week, look at the spreadsheet. Look at it. And you'll see like why it's so important to stick to the rules, why it's so important to remain patient and disciplined, and why you don't need to do anything else. Because over time you can scale up your contract sizes. All you got to do is be consistent and just win your trades. And the only way to do that is let the market give you the trades. Don't you try to take them. You try to take trades, market gonna tear you up at some point, and it ain't gonna be nice. And some people I've seen it happen to people time and time again. They'll be doing good, and they'll let that one day where they deviated blow their account out. Because they can't stop. And I kid you not, like this has happened to people where they were going on just an excellent run. They were doing what they're supposed to do. All it took was one day of having no patience and running out of patience, and they went off on that day. They took one loss and they tried to get it back, and they started revenge trading, and next thing you know, their account was gone. And it's just totally like senseless and ridiculous. So that's why all of the things that we talk about is just reinforcement of the same thing all the time. Every training is the same information repeated over and over again. There's a reason for that. It's because you don't need to really know anything else. You're being trained to win your trades, and you're being trained to not deviate from the winning. Why deviate from the winning process? Part of the winning process is not taking any trades. If the market is not giving us trades, we don't trade. Period. That's a win right there. And it's a big win because you're keeping your money in your account. Literally. As we're training, if any of you have questions, make sure that you throw your questions up. Put them up in the chat. And we'll definitely address your questions. Even if you're new and you just have basic questions, throw your questions up. Need to know what you guys are thinking about, what you guys are not seeing, what you guys need help with seeing, so we can address it. And days will come, you know, that are like today. We've seen days like this before where nobody took a trade. It's not the first time, and it ain't going to be the last time. And then there's going to be days where it's like, damn, everybody got paid today. For real. Yeah. It's just, you know, the market does what it wants to do. The fact that we respect the market at all times, that's the most important thing. That's why we're going to win long term. Because we're not playing with the market. Don't play with this market. What's the best time of day to trade the market? Really, whatever time that you're available, because there is no best time. Yep, and what Ms. Otis is saying is true, too. We've seen weeks where no one is taking trades. Absolutely. And that's, man, listen, your level of discipline got to be high. Where you go for a whole week or longer and don't take no trades, but you were on the charts. So in other words, you're looking at the market. You see what the market is doing. You're like, hey, wasn't no trade, so I ain't take nothing. That's it. Just leave it alone. But guess what? You ain't lose no trade. You ain't take no loss. Your account is intact. It is tough to do, and it takes training to do that. This is exactly why we have to train the way that we do. Our protocol is very simple. Training videos nonstop. Like literally, we watch training videos every day. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You have an opportunity to watch a video, watch it. Even if you're just listening to it. Put the headphones on, train. Because all of this information repeated over and over and over and over again is going to sink into you at some point. And then the next thing you know, you actually are doing all of the right habits, including not taking any trades when the market says don't trade. That's the best habit that we can create for ourselves. The discipline of not deviating from the process. Randy said he didn't take a trade in 8 days. See? And yes, it's exactly. It's at the subconscious level. So you're doing it, you know, when you train like this, you're doing it without thinking anymore. You don't think about it. Jay Carly said I had to learn to not care if I got a trade or not. That's it. That's it. Dan said, since I started watching, I haven't traded equities. Market is rough right now. Rather not lose money. Exactly. Exactly. And I know that there are people that do other things, you know, aside from what we're doing here with Team Alliance with the binaries. There are people that trade equities and, you know, they're trading other type of financial instruments and stuff. They're learning discipline through our training and applying it elsewhere. And that's powerful. Because patience and discipline, that's something that you're doing. Like you're creating that for yourself through training. And the fact that that's what we focus on is just making you better at what you do, period. It's powerful, man. Osiris said, what I noticed is the summertime, the market is rough. It's always interesting to me when people kind of say that. because the market is always rough. And I know what you mean by that. In other words, like it's more difficult, I guess, to find opportunities to trade. But I think for us, everything is really just like perspective. It really is. Because, you know, anytime I just look at what we actually do, I think that this whole year, the slowest week for me personally, I took 4 trades in that week. 4. That was the slowest week that I had. And that was during the same week that many people either took, you know, sporadic trades or didn't take trades at all. And it's not that I was doing anything different. I never violate the parameters. Ever. Never, ever, ever violate the parameters. Yeah, Bobby, you gotta click on the phone up. You might have to dial in. Jerry said, around this time when holidays are coming up is the time to have patience. These candles will be erratic and a lot of market manipulation. That's true. That's true. I mean, again, it's like everything is kind of, people try to box in the market. Like, oh, the market does this at this time. Market does that at that time. During this period is doing this. You know, during the fall and the winter is doing that, and the summer is doing this. The market just does whatever it wants. And it's very difficult to pinpoint when your expectation of what the market is supposed to do is going to do it. So if you spend your time focusing on that, then that's what it will be for you, because you're creating that environment in your mindset. If you just apply the parameters, apply the protocol, I assure you that you'll find trades when you're supposed to find them. Period. When the trades come, you'll be there to get the trades because you're not thinking about anything else. If you're thinking like, oh, well, it's summertime, I can't, I ain't gonna get no trades. All right, so you're not gonna get any trades because you said it. Yes, law of attraction all day. Law of attraction. Matt is asking how many hours per day on average am I watching the market. If I had to really add the hours up, like where I'm actually on the chart, I would say it's like 3 hours all day. But it's not even like I'm sitting at the chart for 3 hours. Like I'm adding it up as far as spreading it out over the day, over the course of the day. If I had to add it all up, I would average it out to about 3 hours. And it's not even hours at a time. Like if I'm on the charts with you guys like in the afternoon, sometimes we'll get on the chart maybe like 2 o'clock. Sometimes I'll be there and then I'll leave and come back. Yeah, we're going to take a look at this. Look like it's priced out for the long. But we do have, right now we actually have nice behavior on the chart. Behavior is nice. Market is nice and slow. All you need really is just for a trade to settle with parameters. That's going to really just be the first indication that there's more stability in the market, because the market is going to validate a trade. So that means that the option pricing and the algorithm on Nadex and everything is in alignment with the movement of the market. So that's when you'll see a trade actually set up. Yep, definitely. And yeah, you see what Joel just said? If I see speed at all, if I'm on the chart, I'll leave and come back. If it's slow, I'll just sit there and I'll put the timer on. So I'm not even on the chart the whole 5 minutes. I'm on the chart at the minute 30 mark because I put the timer on. I set the timer. So I'm not even sitting there that whole time. I'm watching, you know, something else, a video or The Sopranos or something. Like I'm not at the chart. I'm doing something else. And that's a good practice because what I can do, I do the quick glance. And I think I had talked about this in another training. I come on at minute 30 mark, measure the speed, right under the minute mark, right when we get to that minute mark, if I don't see pricing on the options, I'm out. Like I'll take a real quick look. If I don't see pricing here, I already know that trade's not going to set up. So I leave it alone. Then I'll look at whatever the behavior is at the end, box it in, and then I'm off. And then I'll come back at the next minute 30 mark. So I let the timer bring me back to the chart. And that's a good practice because it saves you a lot of screen time. You know, you're not sitting there the whole time. Sometimes you could be doing something else. And if, you know, as soon as you hear the alarm go off, you come back to the chart, take a quick glance, look and see if you got pricing on the option. If you don't, then you know that it ain't setting up. And you keep doing that. Just rinse and repeat. And you could do that all day. Like, even if you were sitting at the chart for 4 or 5 hours doing that, that 4 or 5 hours is not really 4 or 5 hours. Because you're only looking at the 5-minute portion of it for, you know, during that last minute and 30. Or really the last minute. So what, you know, what looks like 4 hours is really like an hour altogether. Because the time is bringing you back only during the moment of the binary that you need to be there for. So if you're not using the timer, you want to incorporate the timer into when you're doing your play-by-play and when you're watching. It's very, very helpful. Bingo. Bingo. See Crystal right there? You see what she said about cycles? See, right there, she's in tune with the way that the market moves as far as speed. We did a couple of trainings talking about the speed cycles. I forgot which ones they are, but I'm sure Jay Carley or somebody will put it up. Where we talked about how you can see when the beginning of speed comes into the market. When the beginning of speed comes in, that's when you just kind of walk away from the chart for a minute. When you come back, you can also see the beginning of when it starts to slow down. And what will happen is a lot of times, right at the beginning of a slowdown during the next speed cycle, like in other words, let's say speed came in and then now it's coming out, or is going out rather, it's slowing back down again. Right at the beginning of that next cycle where it's slowing down, just apply your parameters on the chart. Just apply them. And many times you'll get a Marx rule. Boom. You're like, okay, there's a Marx rule. And if that environment persists and that slowdown takes place, boom, that trade will come. And it'll be right there in your face. Like you're not going to be able to miss a trade if you just follow the protocol. Get a Marx rule and then wait for the trade to set up. The market's either going to give it to you or it's not. If it doesn't, the market obviously is still out of sync. Just like this, see? See how you don't have 5 micropips above? We ain't going to break that rule. I'm not going to take this because, oh, price was in the 70s. If it had pricing, oh, the market is slow. Let me take it. No, it's not 5. It's 3. You're going to deviate. So this is why we're not taking these trades. These trades are not setting up properly. So if they do not validate, what do? Nothing. Discipline. Right, and you got the backtick. Exactly. Yeah, so, okay, so the speed cycle videos are 206, 207, 208. Yeah, very good videos to watch to just get more understanding about what it is that the market actually is doing. You know, the better at understanding the market that you become, the easier the whole process becomes. It's like reading a book. You know how you read a book so many times, you know exactly where certain things are going to happen because you read the book already. So you read it again and you just breeze through it. The second time you read it, you start to go through it faster. The 10th time you read it, you're just breezing through the book. That's how we are learning how to read the market. So, you know, all of the tools that we're using to give us indication of what the market is about to do. It's not that we're trying to predict what the market is going to do. We're following what the market is doing. And there's a difference. Because we're looking at real-time market movement, we're seeing what the market's doing. You can see when the market speeds up. You see when it starts to slow down. You see what progression looks like. When you're looking at your play-by-play, you're looking at what the behaviors are. You can see what the progression is. You're like, oh, well, we got a lot of move holes on the chart. You know, market is slow. It's only a matter of time. It's either going to do that or it's going to speed up again. And if it speeds up again, you know it's going to slow down again. So you can position yourself to be on the chart during the slowdown process. You see, so when you come back to the chart and the market starts slowing down, you're right there at the very beginning of when it might set up. This is how many of us get into trades and other people didn't get a trade for that day. Maybe they just weren't on the chart at the time. You know, there's a lot of variables that go into it. Sometimes you'll be on the chart at the right time and you'll just catch the trade when it comes. But it's the process of what we're doing and the protocol that we're following that puts you in position to catch the trade when it does come. Because you know what you're doing, just get on the chart whenever you can. If a trade sets up, you're going to be right there to catch it. And definitely the group chat. Angela is saying, what's the minimum price to trade? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Okay, the thresholds that we use, okay, yes, 17 to 83. Hansel, did you watch video 92 and 55 yet? And yes, Dan, we always do limit GTC orders. Never market orders. Once you get into a trade, you're not trying to get out the trade. You're more so focused on not getting into a trade that you shouldn't be in. You shouldn't be in a trade you're trying to get out of. Let me rephrase it. We're never going to be in a trade that we're trying to get out of. The reason we're in a trade is because we had full confidence in the environment that the market is in, and the market validated the trade. That's it. Definitely. That's definitely a light bulb moment for real. Yes, exactly. With the limit order, you'll get your price or better. Bingo. The threshold numbers, and I'll just talk about it since you guys brought it up. Those numbers, they're not necessarily what we want to get in the market. Like, we're not placing our order because we want to get that price. We're using that as a buffer to enter the market with precision and with the right timing. When you see that you have favorable pricing on the option, the option pricing will be better than those prices. So for the duration of time that you have favorable pricing for, it's giving you time to run down the clock as close to the 30-second mark as you can. Does that make sense? In other words, the fact that you have numbers, you got thresholds, limits, that you know you're not willing to enter into the market for either more or less than. The fact that you have those numbers, you are restricting an entry that would not be favorable for you because your timing would be off. So if you're seeing that you're priced out and you're looking at how much time is remaining on the clock, you know that, first of all, during the last minute of the binary, if your trade is going to set up, it's going to give you favorable pricing for some time. It might be 5, 10 seconds, whatever it's for. You know, your entry might be around the 50-second mark before it actually prices out. Again, this is going to be determined by the market. It's not determined by it. So it's not like you're trying to pick out trades. And I'm glad that what we do now actually is creating less of that. You guys are actually saying that less and less. If you actually notice, your questions are not, oh, well, how much time should be left on the clock before I enter? If you notice, there's less and less of that now because you're beginning to understand the entire process. You're not just looking at cherry picking a trade. Like, it's one thing to try to cherry pick. If you do the protocol, you don't have to cherry pick because you end up with the best trade, period. Woo! Did y'all catch that? Yo, that was a jewel. That was a nugget right there. Man, I'm going to record that. Play that back and record that. Crystal said, once you get to a point of a milestone, you'll be more laxed about getting a trade because you have experience taking $100 to $1,000 or more. Yep. You will know that it can be done over and over again. Woo! That's hard right there. Man. Damn, Crystal. I thought I had the nugget. She just blew mine out the water just now with that. Yes. And it's so clear. And, you know, like that's another thing, too, that the spreadsheet reveals about it. Because if you look at that in terms of how many trades, like let's say that it took X amount of trades to take you from 100 to 1,000. If you're continuing to do the same thing and you're just scaling up your contract size and you're not focusing on cherry picking trades and trying to take trades and forcing your way in, you're just letting the market give you the quality trades that you're waiting for. And you're doing it and you're applying it to your account using the spreadsheet. Look at what time does. Time is going to take you so far beyond in terms of the dollar amount that your account is growing to. Like literally. So what you're thinking that you couldn't accomplish by taking 100 to 1,000, you did that. Once you do that, now you're taking that to wherever you're going next. Like if you just are doing it based on the spreadsheet, you can kind of see the trajectory that you're already on. So you know where you're going to end up at over time. It's just a matter of time. And all we have is time. The market ain't going nowhere. Powerful stuff, man. Yes, video number 197. Crystal talks about her journey. What? Crystal says she started all over. She's halfway to 1,000 again. Hold up, man. Matter of fact, I'm going to get the date. I'm going to get the date of that training. Just to get a gauge of time, just to put it in time a little bit. So that was 197. Let me see what date that was. That was September 27th. So in less than a month, she already did it halfway again. And she said this time she's leaving it there. And she did it in fewer trades. Bingo. Bingo. Man. Right. No overtrading. I know in originally she had mentioned, and when you watch the video, you'll hear her talk about it. But she had mentioned that she took losses during that time. A lot of times when we take losses, it is during times where you're just taking too many trades. So she hit that right on the head. Overtrading leads to losses for sure. Because you are mentally just trying to take more trades to get to where you're going faster. But we in a marathon. Ooh, you heard what she said? No losses this time. Woo! That's what I'm talking about. This is stuff that people are saying can't be done. People say this is impossible to do that. No, it's not. No, it's not. She's averaging 3 a week. She's right on track with the spreadsheet. And mind you, this is what all of us can do. This is what all of us will do. This is what the training positions you to do. Insanity, man. That's it. Speak it into existence. That's right, Tangela. Me too. I receive it as well. Yes. Carl, I have a quick question about pricing. I noticed that when you're looking to enter a trade, you type in 17 as the price. Why is that? Because that's the threshold number that we're using to time the trade. All right, let's look at this as an example. Now, I'm going to come here, type in 17, but we already see that this is priced out because the price of the option is lower than 17. Let's say that the price was in the 20s. Say it was at 22. If the price was at 22, the fact that I have 17 here, if I place that order, it's going to enter me at the better price. So if the pricing here is at 22 and I take the trade, I'm willing to accept whatever the best available price is as long as it's not lower than 17. So if the price fluctuated for whatever reason, let's say it went from 22 to 20, and I placed the trade, I would get the $20 price. Right, 17 is the minimum that we're willing to accept. Bingo. So we know that under no circumstance will we ever get any less than $17 of profit per contract. Period. Yes. And that's what it does. That's what it does. But it's not the reason that we're using it. The reason that we're using it is to help us with precision and accuracy with the entry. Because the fact that the pricing of the option is in your favor, meaning that it's not below 17, the fact that it's not below 17 gives you time to continue to confirm that the other parameters are still met, and it is giving you time to run down the clock. Because remember, the closer that you get to the 30-second mark, you're ensuring that that trade is going to, be as close to winning as you could possibly get it. So again, those numbers are helping us to be precise with our timing. And the precision of our timing is what puts us in position always to be profitable. Because we're creating the environment for ourselves by following the protocol to take advantage of the highest probability of winning. Stacy's saying she can't hear. Yeah, and do that too. Try logging out, coming back in. But Carl, does that make sense? I know it does. I just want to hear you say it. Okay. Very good. Turn your speakers up, maybe. Dial in, maybe. Marvin, can you explain the same thing with the buy? Nope. No, I'm just kidding. All right, so we're doing it in reverse. You're going to take, let's say we pulled up this ticket. You see how the pricing is under 83? So I'm just going to go here, type in 83. And now because it's in reverse, favorable pricing is under 83 because I'm not willing to pay more than 83 to enter the trade. So favorable pricing means that the price is under 83. If I was to take the trade, like right now if I took the trade, you see I was at 81, it's going to give me the best price that's available. But I'm never going to pay more than 83. Make sense, Maury? Yeah? Yes, okay. All right, very good. Yeah, like right now, like you see how these are setting up, they're not giving us pricing. We're not getting pricing on this. This kind of what it's been all day, really. Market is either not positioning or is still out of sync with the algorithm on Nadex, so we're not getting pricing on the options. And that's fine. That's fine. It is what it is. Trust me, the market is going to give us so much money, and it's going to give it to you slowly and over time. That's how you're going to build your account up and become wealthy and build financial freedom for yourself. It's slowly. People are funny. They'll try to rush to get to the money. During the process of rushing, they lose it all. Mind you, many people will start trading with way too much. Like that's why I don't believe in even teaching people to start with big money. I don't like it because I feel like you should be able to build up your account with your skill. And if you can't take a small account up to a larger size account, what are you doing? All right, Osiris, have a good night, man. Have a good night. Yep, you should be able to build up your account with your skill, because skill is what it takes to be able to do it long term. If you don't have skill, I don't understand what you're doing. Like, what is it that you're doing if you don't have the skill to build up your account? Why would you start with $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000? You can't take $100 to $1,000 like Crystal did, like Renee did, like a bunch of other people did. Like, it's a list. There's a list of folks that have already done that. That's why I said you guys are going to do the same thing. You know, it's just a matter of time. You just continue training. Eventually, you're going to be doing it in your sleep. You're going to be like, nah, moving hold. You're going to be sleeping and just whispering. You're going to wake up, you're going to have a nightmare. You're going to move and hold. Mark Schrool. Oh, my God, I had a dream about Mark Schrool. For real, if if you married or you in a relationship and you haven't done something crazy yet, then you ain't traded enough yet. Like, your wife or your husband should be mad at you right now. They should really be upset with you right now. For real. Yes, counting pips instead of sheep. There you go. Oh no, Maury. Oh my goodness. Oh man. That is funny. There you go. Right, tell them I work at Starbucks. And I believe that too. Because he said I was crying one time in my sleep because I got priced out. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Woo! I need some Cinnamon Toast Crunch after that. I got the box right here, right next to me. It's ready. All right, so what time we got? Almost 10? So did you guys have any other questions, concerns, issues, anything that you wanted to ask real quick before we got off? Yeah, I know, Dan. It's addictive. And it's like an old school cereal to me, because when I remember when I was younger, like a kid. So it's been around for a while. But it's one of the only ones that still kind of taste the same. Stacy said I always got issues. Oh, Crystal, like them Golden Grams, huh? Golden Grams is kind of closer to Cinnamon Toast Crunch. They're flat too, right? I think I got I got in my cupboard. I got Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Honey Nut Cheerios. I got Fruity Pebbles, Raisin Bran, and something else that's nasty. I think Honey Bunches of Oats. Oh, I looked at Captain Crunch today. I left it alone. I was like, no, I'm not gonna do it to myself. And it was the big box too. I was like, nah. Not today. But I do, every once in a while, I'll go on a Captain Crunch binge. I get the big box and I eat the whole box by myself. I won't share with the kids or nothing. Yup, it's so buttery, rich. Yup, gotta hide it. Oh, Miss O, that reminds me. I had made a I did a video. I gave you a shout out, Miss O, just because you had told me about the chocolate Frosted Flakes, right? Yeah, I got those. I'm gonna try them. I'm trying them just because Miss Otis said that they're good. Just cause. Both Giants and the Jets. I'm a New York fan, even though all our teams be losing. I'm definitely a New York fan. Ew. Are you, for real, Joshua? Oh, that's. Are you joking? You're not serious, right? Joshua said, talking about some Honey Nut Cheerios with apple juice. What is that? you, you get no love on that one. Cause I'm waiting for some feedback. I'm like, who else is gonna say something? You said apple juice. Oh man. Right, what is that? This is cereal, man. Oh, you're going off now. Randy said Nestle quick on the Raisin Bran. Oh, we got to get off training just for that. All right, everybody. So anyone, well, y'all got any questions or anything, y'all can throw it in the group chat. Tonight's training will be available in the next 45 minutes or so. Videos number 92, number 55, number 175, 202, 193, 206, 207. Y'all know the list by now. Yeah, Jay Carly just typed it out. 92, 55, 175, 193, 202, 206, 207, 2010. Just keep watching them. We'll be back in training tomorrow night, same time, same place. I'm going to hang out on the charts and eat the cereal. So I'm still going to just be looking for a little while before I call it a night. And I will check you guys in the group chat. All right, so another great training. Thank you all for being here. And we'll pick it up in the group chat. All right, everybody. You have a good night. Deuces. Peace. My pleasure. My pleasure, Tangela. Always a pleasure.